Good afternoon and welcome to a Calvinian architecture. It's a very wet afternoon in Mildura. It's been raining all night and all day, and I wanted you to see it so that you don't think that all those blue skies are an exclusive Mildura feature. It does rain and we're all delighted that it's raining. Today I'm reading from the fifth octave, the fifth chapter. The city is Clarice. The verse is 2 and 3. The first is the story of a journey and the second story of a city. Verse 2. It's June 5, my 50th birthday, and I'm in Venice. From a friend who's recently returned from Africa, I receive a gift wrapped in cotton. I unwrap it eagerly. What kind of Africa might this reveal? It's an ocarina pipe, a clay flute shaped like a fist, used by shepherds, he explains, to summon their flocks from the pasture. I blow it for a while, looking out of the windows onto bright little green leaves bursting in clumps from the smooth, hard trunks of the plane trees in the square below. Later that afternoon, as I begin to make dinner for everyone, I ponder this out loud. Do I turn 50 today or tomorrow? While I chop the parsley, I point out to my father that my confusion is due to this. 8:40 p.m, the time of my birth, is actually 5:40 a.m. the next day in Melbourne. And if I was in Melbourne now, on which day would I be celebrating my birthday? He's hunching over the stove. He's been suffering from sciatica lately. Ignoring my confusion, he begins to tell me that at 8:40 p.m, just as I gave my first cry, the procession of the Corpus Domini was passing under our windows in Via del Bosco. A bell was heard tolling just as it passed. It's a story I've heard many times now, yet he tells it as though it's the first time he's revealing all this to me. Isn't it called the Feast of the Corpus Christi? I asked, as I shoveled the parsley from the chopping board into a pot full of peeled tomatoes that had just been passed through a moulie. Normally I just cut them up with a sharp knife in the pot by slipping a wooden spoon under each tomato and chopping very quickly down on each crimson carcass, but this time I want to take some special care. It's Venice and it is my birthday, isn't it? But first we have to sort out exactly what day I was really born in. No, it's Corpus Domini, he answers, but he sounds unconvinced. He repeats himself, this time emphasizing the Domini. And wasn't it at 8:25 p.m, I ask, referring to the conjunction of the first cry with the procession bell? I stir the parsley into the tomatoes and look over to him. He turns towards my mother and asks, "What's the correct time, Graziella?" Though she's busy holding a conspirational conversation with her niece, who is also named Graziella, she manages to look down at her watch and say, "It's 8:40 exactly." Then she continues the conversation, only her pitch is lower now. My father and I simultaneously look up at the cuckoo clock on the wall. A little nondescript bird is sitting on top of a little Swiss house and about to take flight. "She's right," says my father, smiling. "It's 8:40 exactly." Later that night, I have a dream. I'm flying over a huge ocean somewhere between Melbourne and Trieste. Outside the cabin, the sky has turned pitch black. Now the aeroplane's interior lights are being gradually switched off. I place a small orange pillow filled with flax seeds on my eyes, a birthday gift given to me by my youngest daughter. I try and understand how she came to realize how much I would need this little pillow right now. Its cool fabric soothes my lids and fills my eye sockets so completely that no trace of light could ever penetrate. A calm voice then announces that at this moment we're passing through an international dateline. The voice goes on to explain that at this very moment in Melbourne it's exactly 5:40 a.m. June 6, and in Trieste it's exactly 8:40 p.m. June 5. I recline further in my seat and let the pillow press firmly into my eyes until I feel it become weightless. Then I try and think hard about what that announcement means. But dreaming it, I fall asleep. Verse 3. It's only a flash, a memory, and each time I try and recall it, it fades more or I add something to it, I'm not sure. It's not even that interesting really or important because it's not like any of these stories in that nothing concrete ever eventuated. But anyway, it was in Virginia Beach, Christmas 95. I was visiting the Sau family after driving from New York with Sam and his sister and her sister's husband. One morning, I walked a long way along the foreshore, a bit like Beaconsfield Parade or the Pean Highway towards Aspendale. I stopped for a minute and looked at the Atlantic, so green and foamy, an angry ocean, I thought, an angry sea. I walked on and stopped at the Edgar Cayce Foundation, looked through the bookshop and the gift shop, bought something, I think, and then I found the Chesapeake Bay Museum. I went inside it and stayed till it shut that evening, mostly in the section that had been constructed as a life-size replica of the first native villages in the bay. Little bark huts interconnected with stairways and terraces, fish drying areas where big ripe catches were dried in the sun and stored for lean times, apricots too and peaches, all sun-dried and stored. I don't know why, but I stayed there for hours looking at a particular corner of the hut, and then an attendant, dressed up as a native, later turning out to be one, asked me whether I wanted to go and sit in there. I said, yes. And then, natural as you like, he let me into the exhibit, fluffed up the reed bed and said, "Have a rest, sir, you're at home here." I didn't emerge till closing time after the best sleep I'd had in months. As I was about to leave, he came up to me and gave me a little shell that had been dug up in the archaeological site the museum has down in the bay. "Don't worry about it," he said, and seeing upon my face the gratitude that he did not expect, he added, "We got millions of these." Then he said, "You have a nice evening now." He took his feather headdress off and left. Well, that's all. But for some reason, some damn reason that for the life of me I can't work out, the whole thing comes back to me that often. It's as though there's something there that needs working out, or something I've missed. And God knows, I wish I knew what it was. I really do. They're the words that one always longs to hear, and that day I heard them. And they are, "Have a rest, sir, you're at home here." They were unexpected, and they led to a long and restorative sleep inside that little hut. Tomorrow, the 5th octave, the 6th chapter, Elsapia. It's very cold out here. I hope you're warm wherever you are. Until tomorrow.